Hey everyone, Chef Clay Peden here from Central Arizona College, wishing you all the best and hoping you're having a great day. Today we are going to do our first demo, and we talked about poultry on the last video, so today why not? Let's go ahead and break down some chicken. We're going to go ahead and use the carcasses to make a nice chicken stock. So follow along with us and hopefully you learn something. All right guys, so today what we got here is we bought us a couple roasters, and you can buy these at any one of your grocery stores that you have in the local area. Just go back there. Make sure you check the date on them. Stores are pretty good about keeping them, but I always like to check the date, make sure that they're as fresh as possible. Always remember, keep them refrigerated. Working with chicken, you want to be very clean because of the salmonella affecting it. So you always got to worry about cross-contamination as well. So first thing I've done, I've already washed my hands before we got on video. Make sure you put on some gloves and make sure you have a nice clean cutting board that you're only going to use to cut the chicken on. Once you're done, go ahead, take this to the sink, scrub it up, wash it, and get it sanitized real well. Also, sanitize your surrounding as soon as you're done. So what we have today is we have some nice roasters, fresh roasters from the store. As you can see, we have these. These are what we're going to cut up, and we're going to show you how to use the carcasses to make a nice homemade chicken stock. So guys, when we start our chicken, before we start breaking it down, always remember that if you're not buying your chicken whole and you're buying it already processed, you're paying for somebody else to do it. This is the cheapest way you can actually buy chicken if you know how to properly break it down for yourself. First thing I'm going to do to this chicken today, guys, is inside you're going to have your gizzards and all of your innards and your neck. We're just going to go ahead, we're going to pull that aside, make sure we have nothing else in here, and so forth. Not all chickens have it. Some of them do. Okay. Now, these are not trash. You do not want to throw them away. I like to save them to make a nice giblet gravy or a nice just chicken flavored gravy that I might want to use for some mashed potatoes or so forth. So I'm going to lay this chicken with the chicken breasts up. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the leg quarters off here on the end. A chicken inside already has pretty much a roadmap already built on how you just cut the chicken down. You just got to know how to follow them. All right, like I said, the map's already in there. First thing I have found easier, and there's a lot of different ways you can do this. Other chefs do it some ways. This is just how I've always found it easier to do. I come in on the sides here, right here in this joint, as you can see. I'm going to come in with my knife, and I'm going to cut that down. And I'm going to cut all that skin back to where I can visibly see. The way I found not to work so hard is I like to lift my chicken up and let the weight of the chicken do the work for me. I'll come in, and what you're going to do is after I do that, I'm going to pop it back, and I'm going to see that little joint right there that just opened up for me, and I know that's my roadmap to cut my chicken quarter out. Okay, so there's one. We're going to turn around. We're going to do this to the other side of this as well. Pop that joint. You see that joint come through. Number two. Now, next thing I'm going to do is I have these little wings here. I'm going to go ahead, pretty much do the same thing. I'm going to cut around, find that joint. I popped it right there, come through. Now I know where to cut. Now, if you want to take it one step further, of course, you know, you've got your hot wings in here. So if you wanted to cut those down, you just go ahead and continue cutting on those. Let's do this other side. Again, go around it. Pop that joint. And I have my other chicken wing. Now, this is what we have left, is we have our beautiful breasts right here. Okay, you're going to take your fingers, you're going to run right down the breastplate. You're going to feel that there's a breastplate there in the bone. You're going to take your knife and you're going to cut right down the side of that breastplate. Okay, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my fingers and I'm going to spread the meat away from that breastplate. Now, the whole goal here is to end up with the cleanest chicken carcass you can actually get, because you don't want to waste any of that meat. That meat is money, especially if you're in a restaurant. You want no waste whatsoever. Also, the least amount of waste you have, the better it makes a stock. Always remember, the cleaner your bones are, the less contaminated your stock will be when it comes time to use your carcass. We have a beautiful chicken breast there. We're just going to turn around. We're going to go to the other side. You can see the plate right there, so you know where you're at. Take my knife. And go right down the other side of the plate. Now, the crazy thing is as society, we like boneless, skinless chicken breast. Okay? Guys, we always throw the skin away because of the extra fat and the healthiness of it and stuff like that. But the skin is one of the best parts of your chicken. So I prefer to leave the skin on. Now, we have our carcass here. We're ready to use it for stock. The one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come through, and this is your pad from your tail. And in the video that we talked about poultry, we said that with chickens and stuff and poultry, they store a lot of their fat in their pads. And this is exactly what we're talking about. So that right here is ready to go. There's not a whole lot of waste on it. You are going to end up with some, but not too much. One thing I want to show you too, on the back of your chicken breasts, I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to open that up right there. And I'm going to show you right here, there's some little bit of cartilage here that holds it on. Okay. But this right here is your chicken tender. All right. Now, I'm going to actually have a student worker of mine by the name of Aiden. He's going to come up and he's going to demo another chicken for you. And he's going to show you how we do an airline chicken breast. All right, so what Aiden's going to do right now is he's going to go ahead and he's going to go down the backbone, just like I showed you on the last chicken we did. But this time what he's going to do is he's going to leave the wing attached to the breast. Now, guys, when it comes to an airline chicken breast, you're not going to find a lot of these in restaurants anymore, but it's just a way to show that a chef literally took the time to break down this chicken, and it's mainly just to give you a different version of a chicken breast, a more elegant version, and just to showcase the chef's skill. He's going to remove the chicken tender. And as you see, the wing is still attached to the chicken breast. He's going to go up in the middle of the wing where the first joint is, away from the breast. He's going to clean that off and snap it off. Now, again, we talk about that roadmap. The roadmap's right there between the two joints where you're going to go ahead and you're going to remove the chicken wing. Now, this breast has a bone. He's going to start at the bottom, the top of the breast, bottom of the bone. And what your idea is you're going to trim all the meat and the fat that is located on that bone away to where you end up with a nice clean bone and clean joint, and you're going to be left with just nothing but the bone. As you can see here, it's a little bit tough to make sure you get all of the meat and the cartilage off the joint, but just make sure you take your knife and scrape the bone up and down and cut as much as you possibly can off of that joint. When cooking these, what I like to do is I like to cover them with aluminum foil before I cook, put any heat on them, because that helps keep the bone white and does not burn the bone that way. You don't want to put out a chicken breast on your plate with a black bone. You want to keep it a nice gray tone or a nice white tone. So we're just going to sit here and we're going to watch him clean this knuckle off. You see he's being very particular, making very small cuts, just trying to get all that cartilage off that joint. Now there are many ways you can do this. I've had people do it with rags, where they've actually grabbed it and just one swipe, remove all the cartilage. It all depends on the chicken you're using. I've seen people take pliers and pull them off. But in the kitchen, we don't have pliers, and I don't want to ruin one of my rags. So we just take our time with our knives and we cut as much of that cartilage off as we possibly can. And here we have your completely done airline chicken breast. You see the bone is still attached. It really gives a nice presentation when you put it on a plate. All right, guys, now we're going to move on to making a chicken stock with the carcasses that we just cleaned. What we have over here is we have a pot of water, about a gallon to a gallon and a half of water. And what we'll do is we'll put the recipe up on the screen for you so you can copy it down and you can do this at home. What is really important, I found out, is you want to start off with cold water. Okay, that way you bring everything up to temp. You're not shocking that chicken when you get it put in there and so forth like that. Also, the better and higher quality water you use, the better your stock is going to turn out. Remember, your water is your base ingredient of your stock, so you always want to use good quality ingredients. So right now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about mirepoix. We're going to start off with celery. Now mirepoix, you can pretty much kind of cut it up any which way you choose, okay? But mirepoix, remember, is three main ingredients. You have your celery here, okay, and I've already got some cut up, all right? Next, what we're going to have is we're going to have our carrot. I've also found you make sure you want to wash all your vegetables really well, because I don't want impurities in my stock, because I want the clearest stock I can possibly get. So what I found out is not just besides washing them, but I like peeling my carrots too, because why would I want to use the dirty part of the carrot, even after you've washed it, when I can use this real nice bright orange and the supreme of the carrot itself. And it helps keep your stock more clear and keep everything clarified. So when we're making a mirepoix, it's also really important to remember that your mirepoix is 25% celery, 25% carrot, and 50% onion. So always make sure you do that. And again, when I do cutting, you can cut however you'd like, but I try to keep my cuts pretty much the same and consistent all the way across the board. That way they cook nice and even and so forth, okay? So what I've got going on here is I'm gonna go ahead and get a glove real quick. If I stepped out of the camera, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna get a glove. And I am going to turn my water on here, and I'm going to go ahead and add my chicken carcasses to the water. If I can get this on here. So I've got an induction burner here today, and what we're going to do is we're going to turn the heat up. And I'm going to turn it up to about 280 degrees. I like to slow cook my stocks I think it just gives more time to draw the flavor out of the bone and the carcasses. Now remember, I've cleaned these carcasses up a little bit more, and you're extracting all of your flavor. Your chicken stock comes out of the bones. You could go one step further and you could pre-boil these bones and get everything off, and it's called blanching and kind of bleaching your bones, and you can go ahead and redo that too. But instead today, I want a full flavored stock, so I'm going to just use the chicken breasts or the chicken carcasses just how they are. So I'm going to place those in my cold water. And that's heating up as we're talking. Okay. And what I like to do is I like to let that go for a little bit before I add my celery and my carrots and my onions, and just start getting that going. Now, one thing that you need to know is that when you make a stock, and you don't want that, some people I know, they don't like that real celery taste that's real potent, that can be sometimes overpowering in a stock. You can add your vegetables at different times. Remember, the less amount of time that vegetable is in there, the less flavor it's going to have. So with you cut up your onions here, we've got some diced onions. But again, if you want to just, saute cut some onions, you can. We're going to, remember, strain all this out of the stock, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add my onions, and these are called aromatics. Now, you're not going to eat any of this, but the onions all go in the pot, and I'm also going to add my 25% of carrots in the pot, and I'm going to hold off on my celery a little bit. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to actually show you how to make a sachet. Now the stock's going, and remember, when we talk about mirepoix, it's very important to remember, you have your 25% carrots, 25% celery, and your 50% onions. Now what we're going to do is we're going to literally here make a sachet. Now a lot of people can change up their sachet, and they can put garlic in it, any kind of flavoring profile that you might want in your deal. But now we're going to do a standard sachet. So I have a piece of cheesecloth here tied at one end. I kind of make a sock out of it. And what we're going to do is we are going to take some cilantro. And what I like to do is I like to just use the stems of the cilantro to place into my sachet. So I'm going to remove some of the leafier part of the cilantro here. And I'm going to go mainly for the stems. Now this is really easy. All you need to do is place the stems in your sachet. And the next ingredient that goes in your sachet is we are going to put in some thyme. Now I like to roll the thyme around a little bit and pinch the leaves with my fingers and rub my fingers on it just to release those flavor and those essential oils. Next, what I'm going to add is I've got my bay leaves here. We're going to put them in the sachet. And then last but not least, we're going to do your peppercorns. This is just, remember, a standard sachet. Now all the ingredients are in the bag. I'm going to just twist it up. I'm going to tie it up. And the nice thing about a sachet is you can add it in when you want to. You can take it out when you want to. It depends on how many of those flavors you actually want to pick up. Now, you don't necessarily need to do a sachet. You can add all these ingredients into your stock if you want to. Remember, you are going to strain it. Hey guys, our stock's been going now for about 2 hours on a nice slow simmer. You can go for a little bit longer if you feel like it, but I feel like this stock is done. I never salt my stock while I'm cooking it because this is going to be a base that I use for other ingredients and other dishes. So I don't want to concentrate my stock down so much and it really intensify that saltiness. So I do not salt it until I use it with my dish, and then I adjust the seasonings from there. So the proper way to actually finish this stock out is you're going to, like I said, you're going to cool it. And remember, the temperature danger zone, that 135 to 41 degrees you need in 4 hours. So the best way to cool this is you're going to use an ice wand that you might have in your kitchen, or you can use an ice bath. You're going to fill a sink, your food prep sink full of ice. You're going to place your pot in your food prep sink full of ice and water. And what that's going to do is that's going to surround the pot with the cold liquid, which is going to bring this temperature down. You always want to make sure you get it down to below 41 within 4 hours, or whether you do the two-step, and that is to bring it down within 2 hours to 71 degrees, and you have additional 4 hours to bring it down to 41 after that. Afterwards, I'm going to strain it. I'm going to deli it up in individual containers. That way you can freeze it and you can pull just small bits about that you need to use for your recipes. This stock has been beautiful. I wish you guys had smell-o-vision. It smells unbelievable. And I want to thank you for joining me, and we'll see you on the next one.